Alright, so I'm gonna pick up with the Ordo quest line, the one that has Mary, or was it Anne? I can't remember if her name was Mary or Anne, because it's Mary Ann that she was originally from. Seymour, and Caterpillar. So let's see what's going to go on. Because I think there should be something that triggers now. It's Anne. Okay. Night Traveler. Paimon, you're back. You bet we are. Have you found anything new in the meantime? Mr. Caterpillar and I have been doing some research. Oh, and? We discovered that Seymour doesn't, in fact, have an annihilation mode. Following data fragment sorting, this phase was found to have been derived from the novel Prisoner 6 Overrun. In that book, the World Organization launched a mass annihilation agent to hunt a chimera down. Wait, that stuff's not important at all. Apart from using our free time to go out and investigate, we've also read through the books collected here one more time. We couldn't make heads or tails of them at first, and even now, well, they certainly are well written. I don't know whose handwriting it was, or what scribe or copyist was hired, but their penmanship is clear and clearly beautiful. A master calligraphy if I ever saw one. Wait, so you were talking about the handwriting? Paimon's got a bad feeling about this already. Did you not find anything during this time, then? Heh, alright, sorry, I shan't jest any further. As you know, we told you all that we found the last time without holding anything back. However, I fear that this time there are some clues hidden in details that we must rely on chance to reveal. Reveal their meaning, you mean? Indeed. For example, if no further revelations concerning a murder emerge, then the blood of a painting on a painting will always remain a red smear. Then what would this chance be, Caterpillar? Well, why don't we do a quick recap of everything we've discovered? Let's make some deductions regarding what happened in the past that might give us the opportunity to fill in some gaps that can help us support or refute our views. That's a good idea. I always felt like there's so much about this that's familiar, but I can't recall anything about it. Negative. I can give a conscientious account of the resources that I have sorted. Silly dog, didn't you only recover your creator's name after talking to us about the matter? Mechanical noises. Negative. I merely matched similar sounds during said interactions. There was no data loss involved. However, I must append that I, too, find that keyword searches make searching for entries more efficient. So, what do we want to discuss? Well, for a bit of a warm-up, or a teaser if you would. You may be referring to a heater. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. So let's start off with our deduction with something simple. What is the Mary Ann and the Anapusis exactly? Huh? That Mary Ann holds the greatest secret of all. I'm sure you can see that too. Let's get ourselves some armchairs. Maybe crack open a few beers. Oh wait, you can't drink yet. Anyway, let us help you sort our findings out. I'll start first. Well, the name Marian itself is certainly familiar to me. The name of the person I was meant to protect is Marianne, yes, but I have no data regarding the entity of the one who resides within the Anapusis. We are missing context. I can only conclude based on a human's unmodified lifespan that they are not the same person. That would seem to be the case, huh? It's been a few hundred years, after all. Well, as for Paimon, she ate chicken mushroom skewer this morning? Well, guess it's my turn. You mentioned before that you encountered an ocean of creatures that had a great deal of character. One might say personality, even. The precondition for such creatures and their characters is the same, that an intelligent ocean has already understood their original forms beforehand. So, were you the one who willed those creatures into being, Anne? Don't you think that's kind of weird? You know, summoning familiar friends to play house with you for who knows how long and stuff? Well, I didn't do that. I actually had to get to know Petite, Chow, Al, and the others first. Well then, in that case, let's see what we can deduce from the things we already know. Then let's begin. Let me think back on what's happened. Got it. Let me know if I can be of assistance in any way, Mr. Traveler. Did I just hit the wrong thing to actually continue it? Night Travel Problem, do you have any questions for me? Could you refresh my memory on what happened previously? Have you forgotten certain details? I'm just a little oceanid, so explaining every little thing might be beyond me. Anyway, I was determined to rescue Petite Chu when we first met. Luckily, Paimon and you helped. Later on, we intended to rescue Princess Lyris and defeat the evil dragon, but we met Marianne. She told us things I couldn't understand, and it seemed like she was holding on to something some very important secret. Seymour. How can I help you, Mr. Traveler? Command, recall what happened before. Of course, you repaired me inside Elenus. I was only capable of repeating a fixed set of lines up until then. Oh, Paimon remembers something like that. That was outrageous. Please forgive me. It was a necessary measure to preserve my internal storage. Forget, even Mamere forgave you, so we have no right to stay angry. Mamere. I wonder how she's doing. My long-term memory module frequently requests updates for her file. Are you trying to say that you miss her? That is not imprecise. After that, we thwarted the schemes of Jacob of the Narzan Cruz Ordo. Oh my god, I'm just going to say Ordo for short. And as I must find my ward, Miss Marianne, I shall be going with you. Caterpillar. Are you ready now, or do you have any questions for me? I just thought of something. I'm looking forward to it. The name Marianne. Marianne said the name sounded familiar. Or Anne said the name sounded familiar. I should ask her about it. It should be something to mind. To Seymour, she is someone that must be protected. Either way, ordinary people don't live that long. It's been several hundred years, so they're probably not the same person, right? The Marianne and Epessus seems very mysterious. We once suspected that Anne was a creature from her dreams. Oceanids are sentient creatures unique to Fontaine, and they can create oceanic creatures through mimicry and transformation. I remember all the strange, wonderful oceanic creatures we saw before we met Marianne. They're oceanids in Epessus. Maybe Osiel can create water creatures, but it's starting to be able to imagine creatures with rich personalities. It's almost certain that there is an oceanid in Epessus controlling everything. Who can she be? Chicken mushroom skewer. At the risk of missing major plot twists or important foreshadowing, I don't think this is related to Anne's background either. Oh good, it disappeared. About Anne. Anne is a small oceanid. She didn't create the oceanic creatures in Epessus. Speaking of, just how do oceanids reproduce again? The oceanid Anne. Anne's far too weak to control that whole realm, so she can't be the oceanid behind it all. Enigmatic. Enigmatic Marianne. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Marianne, who has the same name as Seymour's owner, and who seems to know everything. Even if she's not an oceanid, she's probably related to the ocean behind all of this. Submit conclusion. That's enough for now. More than enough for a warm-up. Correct. The oddities in Epessus all point to the powers of the oceanids. But this is not Miss Marianne's doing. All this together means there's another oceanid in Epessus? That is what I suspect. An ocean with whom Marianne has a close relationship. Or perhaps she can even be the princess herself. Do you mean to say that Marianne may in fact be Princess Lyris? Yes, Lyris, the Red Empress of the Ordo from back then, the Red Empress who loves to take heads. Take heads? I seem to have a vague recollection of something like that. Whoa. But it's not a story about Lyris. Rather, it's a fairy tale about someone named Marianne. Yes, the taking heads thing is just a metaphor. Lyris is made of pure water and so has the ability to dissolve and extract people's wills. The Ordo used her to extract the ego and become holy. Searching for the keyword Lyris has yielded relevant information in my indices. Talking of the Red Empress has reminded me of a few things about Marianne. Mull that over a while first, then speak to Miss Anne and Seymour. See if the conclusion you reach awakens any new memories. Night Traveler, I remember the name Marianne. Oh, do tell. It's familiar to me because it's from a children's story, the same one that the Red Empress comes from. The female lead, Lindell, was mistaken for Mary Ann, the servant, and Mary Ann never appeared throughout the entire story. Maybe Mary Ann never really existed, except as a figment in one's dreams. How do we know about the story, Anne? And isn't that a good question? How do I know about it? The memory feels more vivid than those I have of the story of the evil dragon, Narcissus. Shall I summarize the entries regarding Lyris I possessed for you? Thank you, please do. Omitting the standard citation format, reconstructing output to match format report to superiors. Lyris is a registered oceanid. She is not eligible to be stationed in the waters outside Fontaine and has become a special source of information for the nation. She was appointed as the director of an orphanage to symbolize the love and affection of the previous Hydro Archon. The orphanage's staffs were mainly managed by its human vice director. An orphanage director. Then how is she connected to the Ordo? As director, Lyris was very affectionate towards the children and quite devoted to them, but her intelligence among oceanids was below average. She wasn't very good at working out the cause and effect of things, nor could she even count. As a result, she was not qualified to perform covert investigations. Aw, sounds kind of like a big old cat mom who can't count. You know, because cats can't count, so they pick up their kittens one by one and keep going back until they see that there aren't any kittens left. Later, the orphanage was destroyed during the calamity, and official records of her stopped there. They say she failed to understand the link between the disaster, the orphans fleeing, and her own conduct. So she wanders the ruins, drowning in guilt and expectation. I have an underwater locomotion module. Once, Marianne and I dove down to the ruins of the orphanage, whose coordinates were the same as those of Anapusis. There we found an oceanid swimming sadly in circles. When she next appeared in the record, she was a core member of the Ordo and the subject of a high-priority arrest warrant. Oh, but she doesn't seem like a bad person. Considering that she may be connected to Anne, she must have been tricked. Ah, yes. There's another important piece of information worth noting. The orphanage's name was the Institute. I'm not saying that word. There are all Matris Phantoms files that Mr. Alan Gulleton recorded for testing light sensitivity while designing me. The output is by my image-to-text-to-speech module. According to eyewitness testimony regarding who I suspect to be Lyris, there shouldn't be any problems. And you may have heard of this elsewhere, but it's worth mentioning again. Alan and Marianne were orphans in the care of the Institute before the Merchase hunter, Emmanuel Gulleton, took them in. Thank you, Seymour. Don't mention it, noble sir. Batman feels like you've changed a lot since we met in the Fortress of Meripede, Caterpillar. Would a 5-year-old child and a 15-year-old teenager be the same? Perhaps returning here simply reminds me of the past and of who I used to be. Time is frozen in the fortress, being locked up there for a day or 100 years. I'm afraid it made no difference to me. Lenore is what made time flow for me. Watching her grow reminded me that time still passes and life is still being born, shining brilliantly and then being extinguished. And so I changed as well. That said, my past self, the person I was before I met her, would certainly be more helpful to Anne and Seymour in our current situation. That's true. Ha! Don't be like that, Paimon. Just think about it. Making up stories for Lenore was nothing more than putting such ways of thinking to good use. Regardless, it has nothing to do with the current situation. You look like you still have questions, traveler. Since we have our own suspicions about Anne and Lyris's relationship, we have topics of discussion that can be used to refute or sustain those conjectures. How do oceanids reproduce? I'm sure you have friends more knowledgeable than I am regarding that. Perhaps you can even find scholars of natural philosophy who have dedicated research to the question. Or you could have asked the oceanids you know personally. But you asked me. Of course, I know what you mean. So, this is your speculation. I see. Paimon doesn't get it. When we exchanged information earlier, Traveler mentioned that Anne is the person in Marianne's dream. Or perhaps she might be a manifestation made by Marianne, an oceanid. Oceanid. Why the repetition? Are you just trying to make it sound cuter? Apologies. Perhaps my description was ill done. So, can an oceanid create an oceanid creature version of an oceanid? Wow, that's deep. That's like asking if hard candies can be used as the filler for another hard candy. So, what would you say to that? This question's really interesting, but Paimon's already hungry for answers. I suppose I'd have to say, I suppose so. Still, you may not realize how deep this rabbit hole goes, so let me explain. Do tell. You might be confused as to why there are oceanic creatures with personalities in the Anapusis. If oceans can create oceanic creatures, then can they create oceanid humans or oceanids? Convention dictates that it's rare for oceanids to be able to mimic a human unless the human drowns in their arms or the ocean has spent extensive time with the person and knows everything about them. And the ocean in question must have tremendous wisdom and compassion. I'm afraid perhaps only one as powerful as Rhodia could do it. Wow, so that means Idea must be incredibly strong. So it's rare to mimic humans, but not impossible. Now, creating another oceanid, that's different. Creating humans using human knowledge can only be achieved by the gods. And the same applies to oceanids creating oceanids. It usually should be impossible in this world, at least. Unless this human or oceanid has already placed themselves above their own kind and attempted such insanity. You mean they thought they had become a god? That's right. Followers blindly believe in their leaders, only to in turn blindly believe in themselves, giving rise to delirium and delusions. I can do what a god can do. Their deeds are not that great, after all. A powerful belief is also a powerful will, and magic is a skill that molds reality to your will. Perhaps the ascendant hypothesis makes more sense. Perhaps Marianne doesn't consider herself an oceanid type? Perhaps. It's possible and quite understandable, too. If nothing else, the Lyris I know doesn't have this kind of intelligence, nor would she be this crazy. I have some less mainstream ideas about how oceans reproduce, but they're not important and we can discuss them later. Now, let's reorganize the information that everyone just recalled. This might take quite some time and might be somewhat hard on our throats. I'm ready. So regarding Ellen's younger sister Marianne, the Anapusis Marianne, the Red Empress Lyris, and the Anne who's with us, what will our conclusion be? How will we sustain it, and how shall we refute it? Everyone gathers. Is there anything else you feel we should add? As I mentioned before, Marianne is not the only princess in Anne's story, but she is also the person I must protect. She is the younger sister of Alan Gallanton, the one who designed me, 4ACV07. As for matters concerning me, I suppose you already know all about them, Night Traveler. Speaking of which, didn't we also hear all sorts of stuff while we were in Ellenus? Seymour was also damaged during that time. How did it go? Did you think of anything? About the damage to Seymour and Ellenus. That's right, Seymour was damaged inside Ellenus, and my mayor's been taking care of him. To my shame, yes, though I do not have such emotions, I can see it has me... you can see it has me having lowered my assessment of myself. And according to Elenus, the battle that occurred within his body ended quite terribly. Evidently, that was the battle that damaged you, and it was an incredibly fierce one. But considering that you were damaged, then your master might have been. Common sense dictates that the fate of Marianne Gollington, sister of Alan Gollington, was most likely a grim one. But this world is full of tales of loyal knights who exchanged their lives for a miracle, so you needn't grieve too much, Seymour. Seymour appears to have entered data fragment sorting mode out of pure shock. But your master Marianne was an ordinary human being, wasn't she? And the time that has passed since then far surpasses the lifespan of any human. How did it go? Did you think of anything? The Red Empress Lyris. She was an important figure in the Ordo, and she is also the other Oceanid involved in the tale apart from Miss Anne. One of only 2 Oceanids, and we also just agreed that we believe there must be an Oceanid behind Anapussis. But her traits don't match those of the Mary Anne we encountered. Could it be that Lyris's imagination was behind everything, even me? That's unlikely. Seymour mentioned that her intelligence was quite limited, so phantoms of this sort would be quite hard for her, similar to how an author would struggle to write a character more intelligent than themselves. In fairy tales, the kitten may dream of their living little master, but I fear such things don't happen much in real life. So who is behind all this, and who in the world is that Marianne? Last thing, the Oceanid Anne. What about me again? We once suspected that you might be the person that Marianne dreamed of. So in your view, Marianne is the ocean behind the curtain, yes? I don't know. Well then, do you find the name Lyris familiar? She is, after all, the only ocean involved in this apart from yourself. If you mean the title, the Red Empress, then yes, I do have some impression of it. How did it go? Did you think of anything? The Marianne and Anapussis. That makes her our prime suspect then. To be honest, were you using the process of elimination you actually already guessed as much long ago? I didn't want to disrespect Anne, though. You're right, but you do already have a vision of the story in your heart, your own interpretation, yes? If that's the case, then we should go find that Marianne and see for ourselves. Please permit to change the topic for a moment. Does this mean that I shall no longer be able to fill my orders to protect Marianne? We've worked out this much, and that's the only bit you care about? It may be cruel, but from the moment we discovered that the Gollington siblings were from centuries ago, it was probably inevitable. Whatever. Correction. So the conclusion would be that it was my incompetence that exposed Marianne to danger? Do not blame yourself. You have fought to the point of destruction. You have done your part. There's no need to be so pessimistic either, though that is an odd thing to say to a machine. Yeah, it's like pouring Fanta into a sink, then say, "Sink, you'll get fat if you keep drinking like this." Oh, 4ACV07. I can't believe you remember that. What is it, Mr. Caterpillar? Why use my official designation? We may not have reached any conclusion, but we now know what to do next. Look, there is a Marianne in Anapussis, and she has close links to the Ordo. My long-term memory module confirms this. As such, there's no need to restore your logical module to factory setting yet. Let's take a step back. We can still go and find this Marianne. Thank you for your logical troubleshooting and emotional adaptive maintenance. I think what you said makes sense. It is not yet time to admit defeat and restore myself to my initial settings in order to take on a new mission. Yeah, that's right, you silly dog. Let's leave things here for a while, then. Once you are ready, we can continue. Why don't we go find this Marianne? Let's solve this mystery before tackling the Ordo issue. I concur. I'd really like to figure that one out too. After all, it might explain where I come from. My logic module agrees that it is the correct course of action. So shall we go then? Over here. Okay. We're back again. This time I must... Marianne. That's the spirit, Miss Anne. In truth, I must confess to being somewhat jealous of you. Hmm? You still hold out hope of recovering your past. I've been searching for centuries, but I haven't found a thing. So please do your best for this old caterpillar's part as well, alright? Figure your past out and come to accept your present self. Yep, I will. Oh! Whoa, what are these guys doing here again? Wait, isn't that Al's group? Ho ho, yes it is us. And you are Night Traveler and Paimon? It's really good to see you. So good I can't control myself anymore. Please dodge to the best of your ability. She asked us to send you a message. Now let me take out her handwritten letter with my hands, which are much like yours, yellow and white ones. Ahem. I don't want to hear your stories. I prefer my version. Oh, we're going into a fight.
Solidify!
Be amazed! Rise. And voila!
Ah, the bubble that was here before is gone too. Well, it was Princess Lyrus's magic. That's just how the story goes. Let me think of a way. Close your eyes, everyone. A temporary optical sensor shut down? Understood. They will be reactivated on your command. Wait, why do we have to do that? The essence of a mime is pretense, the charade that something is still here. And belief is the heart of magic, the faith that there is meaning here. So let's close our eyes. So Anne, begin imagining what it would look like if that bubble was still here. You close your eyes and feel some sort of fluctuation. I prefer the story of the adventure team sitting down happily for tea after their adventure has ended. Whoa, it really appeared! The Order called this step the process of imagining something in such detail imaging. Let's go over and have a look. Huh? It's the entrance that's It's the entrance that's disappeared this time. And you know to make the portal, can you do your imaging thing on it? Alright, let me give it a try. You close your eyes and a lonesome silence comes over you. But everyone's left. They won't come back no matter how long I wait. I can't. It seems... Wait, why? How are we supposed to see Marianne then? I suspect that this is because the portal has lost meaning and thus cannot be recreated. From what you told me before, the entrance that was once placed here led to a story that had yet to be written. Now that she has said everything she wanted to, the story no longer has any meaning. Marianne is rejecting our answer, and that's why the way is shut. Does this mean we're going to return empty-handed? It does seem so. I wouldn't say we're completely out of luck. Did you notice something we didn't then, Night Traveler? I heard something while Anne was imagining. I did hear something then, so you can hear it too? Would that be Marianne's real thoughts? What did you two hear? Might be best not to discuss personal secrets here. The walls might have ears and all. Let's head back before talking about this. So could you tell us what you heard? Perhaps a hilly might hear something that humans and oceanids will not, just as how dogs and humans differ in that regard. I must concur your statement. My auditory components can indeed pick up higher and lower frequencies as compared to humans. However, I am not a dog. Moreover, a dog's low-frequency hearing is similar to that of a human. Is that so? Well, I was talking about real dogs, not you, 4ACV07. Haha, silly dog. That said, I didn't think you would hear it too, Night Traveler. I wonder if we'd heard the same thing. But everyone's left. They won't come back no matter how long I wait. Looks like we heard the same thing. I suspect that this was the inner voice of Marianne. Does she say anything else? I'm not trying to invade anyone's privacy or anything. I just think that we're onto something here with you mentioning these words, traveler. Let me think. After that, I also heard something like, I prefer the story of the adventure team sitting down happily for tea time after their adventure has ended. And then, I don't want to hear your stories. I prefer my version. Have you noticed something off about this, traveler? Please state your case. Let's think over our own thoughts first. Perhaps we really might be able to come to some conclusion. It sounds like she heard it in the reverse order that we did. Well, I'm a dum-dum who forgot to set their timer, and I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to end this part of the storyline here. Oh, this one's called Search in the Algae Sea? Yes, Search in the Algae Sea. So that's going to be it for now, and I'll see you guys later.